What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Review for Demon Slayer Season 2. This is episode 11, and with me, as always, I have Blue Spade.
Yeah. So, uh, this was a really good season. I gotta be honest. I think it's one of the better seasons that Ufotable has ever done in the history of the show. I mean, the only one of the few negatives I do have to point out is just due to the fact that this is the only real season we've gotten ever since it came back, and the fact that they had to show off like a broadcasted, edited version of Mugen Train kind of bogged it down a bit. But I do like the fact that how well the season was handled overall.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they, like you said, it didn't start off too well with them basically redoing or rebroadcasting Mugen Train and just having it be like like an episodic series. But then I think they did redeem themselves with this with the Entertainment District arc, because this is probably some of the best like Demon Slayer content we've gotten since the start of the series.
Yeah, not just animation wise, but I think in terms of development with a lot of their characters, specifically Tanjiro, is Tanjiro is like, people can say whatever you want about Tanjiro, but he's I could say he's more realistic in terms of as like a main protagonist, just because he's not like an overly powerful person that can instantly defeat an enemy. He struggles a lot with every enemy that he fights throughout the entirety of the series we've seen him so far.
And I mean, he has relatable goals, like he's trying to save his sister. It's kind of like Ichigo Kurosaki, he's also relatable in that he's just trying to protect the people close to him. And I mean, he's not OP either. He has to go through struggle as well just to get stronger.
Yeah, and not to mention just the realistic effects that just the amount of damage, the physical toll he takes in every single fight that he's involved in. He gets injured almost on a frequent basis. We see him in he got injured in the middle of this series. He got dreadfully injured when he was fighting against one of the lower moon demons against Rui. I think it was in episode 18. And then of course he took some amount of damage during his fight in Mugen Train, and this one this is the most damage we've ever seen him take physically, not just from the upper demons themselves, but just the physical toll he took to himself by trying to perform the Hinokami Kagura on multiple occasions.
Yeah. But I will say it is probably a good thing that they decided to evacuate everyone from this area, considering what happens at the the ending of the last episode and the beginning of this one, where a lot of places it literally just gets blown up. There's a lot of there's just a lot of destruction everywhere, and somehow of course Tanjiro manages to get away, because I was wondering how in the last episode they may even manage to get away from that. Tanjiro manages to get away because, of course, kind of around the last second, Nezuko gets out of her box and gets Tanjiro out just in time.
Yeah, basically what happens is, after Gyutaro's final blood blade ability just activates after he gets beheaded, Nezuko pretty much uses her blood demon ability to burn all the blades away, and then just pretty much neutralizes everything around her.
Yeah. I can't say I didn't really expect that. I mean, I guess I should have expected, Nezuko would do something. And not only that, but we learned that her blood burning ability can also burn away poison. Because it is what manages to save pretty much everybody that was poisoned.
Yeah. Tanjiro is surprised at first, that wondering how he doesn't feel the effects of Gyutaro's poison, until he realizes he runs into both Zenitsu and Inosuke, which they're in terrible shape. Zenitsu, he's back to his normal state again after pretty much sleepwalking or whatever his ability is. Just he said his legs are just pretty much broken, after what he did to what he tried to do with Daki. And then of course we see Inosuke just practically dying on the ground with poison just protruding from his chest. And then of course he ends up getting saved at the last moment, thanks to Nezuko burning away the poison from his body.
Yeah. And then, of course, they eventually find Tengen, who is surrounded by his wives, who are concerned, that it's pretty much that he's about to die, and they're wondering what they should do. And they're basically about to, I guess, accept the fact that he might die, until, Tanjiro and Nezuko show up and end up healing him as well.
Yeah, I mean, I do kind of like, what was it? Suma's overreaction with Tengen getting burnt, looking like he's getting burned to death or something like that, and just her overall reaction, just going after Nezuko, and then shortly after she realizes that that poison is out of his body. So I also like how
Tanjiro is kind of just he can't really walk, so he's just being transported around by Nezuko, because she's is just kind of carrying him on her back, running around. And it's even funnier because she's in her really tiny state doing this.
Yeah, but yeah. So but pretty much the majority of this episode is just focuses on the demon siblings. So
yeah, because of course Tanjiro eventually ends up finding he's trying to find their heads, and he eventually ends up finding their heads, and they're pretty much about to completely disappear.
Well, actually, before this happens, I do want to point out that while Tanjiro was trying to look for the heads, he finds a pool of demon blood on the ground, which Tanjiro ends up taking a sample of. And if you remember, this is back in season 1, if people forgot, Tanjiro is tasked on taking samples of upper demon blood so he can send samples of it to Lady Tamayo, who's if you remember, she's also a demon that Tanjiro interacted with back in season 1, and she has a way to possibly turn Nezuko back to her human self if she can obtain some amounts of upper demon blood, or particularly Muzan's blood. But now, with Tanjiro being able to successfully defeat both the demons, he's able to get the sample of the blood to Lady Tamayo.
Yeah. But yeah, of course, Tanjiro finds that their heads, and they're basically Daki's kind of I guess kind of getting on Gyutaro because of I guess mistakes she felt like he made, and they're basically just kind of arguing in their final moments. And Gyutaro is arguing with her, and then Tanjiro just covers his mouth and says the siblings shouldn't be arguing like that or something.
Yeah, and this pretty much leads it to the point where Daki just cries out for help before she completely disintegrates for good. And this of course leads Gyutaro to remember his past life as a human, which it's just overall just the most tragic storyline we've ever seen, with of all the demons we've seen in their past lives.
Yeah, I was wondering when they were going to show the backstory of these two demons, but I guess it kind of makes sense that they saved it for the end of the arc.
Yeah, it's just Gyutaro is specifically Gyutaro, his life was just terrible. We realized that his mother was, I guess, a prostitute in the entertainment district, and he felt no love from his mother at all. She just constantly physically abused him, and obviously we realized even before then he was just a malnourished child back then, and he was just forced to scrounge up and eat whatever he can around the ghetto area, just either killing rats or snakes, and then just pretty much eating them from there. And supposedly, and of course we find out after his sister was born, their mother ended up dying from a disease, which we find out. Well, another thing we find out that Daki is not her real name. Her real name is called Ume, but I think Gyutaro mentions that the reason why she's called that is based on the disease that their mother died from.
Yeah. Yeah, you actually surprisingly feel bad for Gyutaro because of how he was, I guess, discriminated against based on the way he looked.
Well, not just the way he looked, but just the way he was overall treated. Just like just pretty much becoming that horrid state, but just because of how much of he was abused and malnourished all those years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it after their mother died, he eventually had to take care of his sister all by himself, and of course, he basically just took advantage of his sister's beautiful appearance. So it gave him an idea to give that her appearance can help give both of them a better life. So at the same time, while her sister's working in the entertainment district, he's working as like some kind of like a debt dealer, just pretty much like beating up several people and taking their money, and then of course buying food in the process. But all of a sudden he runs into a sister who's pretty much been burned alive in the middle of the street.
Yeah, like apparently the reason for this is because like she had a client who was a samurai and she like stabbed him in the eye or something, and he wanted revenge for that.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like there's something missing from that particular scene, and we don't really see like her body like getting burned, unless this is something that's in the manga. I mean, which I haven't even seen or read that part, but I really feel like they kind of took some stuff out in this particular scene.
Yeah, they could have. But basically, like, yeah, this is basically when Gyotaro just loses it, and he kills the guy that burned her, like the samurai, and everybody else.
I think there was also another woman that.
She kind of like sold her out, I guess, like the guy, the woman that I guess that owned the brothel or something, like, and ended up like, she was, I guess she was just fine with her getting burned.
Yeah, and like you said, like Yutaro just pretty much like snaps and then just kills both the head lady and the samurai that end up burning his sister alive. Well, but not before he gets slashed in the back by the exact same samurai. So he kills them both, and then he tries to carry his sister through the city, which she's barely alive. Of course, with no one else to help him, he just pretty much like damns everybody around him because like of how mistreated both of them were like throughout all those years. And of course, the only person that came in to save them is I think he was like then an upper six demon. Like I think I forgot the name of this demon. A lot of people on Twitter have been saying like he's a major character like in future storylines, and they mentioned that he's also voiced by Light Yagami's voice actor.
Interesting.
Yeah, but yeah, so this demon, who was then an upper six at the time, offers Gyutaro and his sister to become demons, and of course, saying that he'll give him his blood, and if Lord Muzan accepts you, then you can potentially become upper class demons, which eventually we know that they have. So and up to this point, like they both Daki and Yutaro end up both becoming upper rank six demons at the exact same time.
Yeah, and I think this is when they cut back to like that empty black space they're both in.
Yeah,
because like the flashback started because like Yotaro was about to walk off, I guess, presumably into hell, and Daki was begging him not to leave, and asking him if he remembered, which I guess he did kind of forget like parts of his past. So it's after this they're both we go back here and pretty much both walk off together into hell. Is what I assume. Where of
Yeah.
course I assume they're going.
Yeah, like eventually they both reconcile and promise to out for each other again, whether if it's like in the afterlife or whether if they get reincarnated or whatnot. But yeah, like you said, they walk into hell together, and then of course we cut back to the present day, which Tanjiro like sees Gyutaro finishes disintegrating, and then pretty much Tanjiro wonders if they managed to make amends to each other, which we know they did. But eventually, like we cut back to Tengen, who gets met by one of, I think, what was it, one of the other Hashiras. I think it was like Obanai, who's the serpent Hashira.
Yeah. Basically, Obanai wants him to. It pretty much like wants him to heal up and just, I guess continue his duties as a Hashira, but Tengen wants pretty much is set on retiring.
Yeah.
And kind of seems to imply that like that Tanjiro would, I guess, make a good replacement or something, or he has potential as a Hashira.
Yeah, because if we remember, like Rengoku who is of course who died in the Mugen Train, never got his spot replaced, and with Tengen going into retirement, that leaves like 2 Hashira slots pretty much empty at this point.
Yeah. And I think we also get another scene with the I forget what his name is, but the head demon slayer, the guy who's like I forget, he's really sick.
I think it's Kaga, yeah. So
yeah.
he gets news of the upper class demons being eliminated, and he's overjoyed at hearing the news. But we see like his conditions not gotten any better ever since we saw him last time.
Yeah, and he looks to be in pretty bad shape.
Yeah. Well, we don't know like the reasonings of what his conditions was, but I would assume that it has something to do with Muzan, and possibly he may have been infected. He may have been poisoned or something like that. His skin condition looks like he was poisoned with something, possibly.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering too, because it does kind of look like he might have been poisoned.
Yeah, but the fact that he's able to, I don't know. I don't know exactly how long he's had that condition. It's possible he's had it for years, and it's gotten worse over time. But it looks like it's getting to the point where he's potentially going to die from this disease at any moment.
Yeah. And of course, there's also like, I was kind of wondering about this because I was, about Akaza. I was like wondering if he's going to show up at any point, but we do kind of get to see him a little bit at the end where he ends up getting transported to that place.
He calls it the Infinity Castle.
Yeah.
It's the exact same scene in which Muzan summons all the lower class demons, and well, pretty much we know he ends up eliminating them all due to their failures. So I guess with news of both Daki and Gyutaro being eliminated, it makes sense that Muzan is summoning all the rest of the upper class demons for some kind of meeting.
Yeah, and I'm guessing, obviously we're probably not going to get in to see what happens in this particular scene until the next season. But yeah, I thought we were at least going to see Muzan at the end, but I guess we'll have to wait till next season. But yeah, of course, then we end up cutting back to Tanjiro and his friends, and they're just kind of rejoicing that they all made it through alive.
Happy to be alive amongst the ruins of the entertainment district.
I forgot for a second because until like they mentioned in this episode that they actually evacuated everybody, because I was like thinking they just ended up killing a lot of people. But fortunately, everybody made it out before that happened, because they pretty much destroyed everything.
Yeah, I mean, well,
not everything.
I do like this ending, because I thought this leaves the season off on a more hopeful note than it did when we last saw
That
what
Mugen
happened at
Train.
the ending of Mugen Train, which left it off in a bittersweet note.
Yeah, definitely a much more uplifting kind of ending. But yeah, that's. I was hoping there might have been some after credits, but unfortunately, no. And the episode wasn't. I think a lot of people were thinking it was going to be about an hour, but it was like 32 minutes. It's still longer than a typical episode, but I guess not as long as we thought it was going to be.
I still wonder if they might have cut some stuff.
That could
Like particularly like the flashback with Gyutaro and his sister, because I really I don't know if it has something to do with like some broadcast reasons. Maybe they didn't want to show Daki or Ume's body getting burned alive during that one particular scene. Maybe it could have been graphic for a TV broadcast, and maybe they eventually might put that back in there for a Blu-ray release eventually. But yeah, I really feel like there was more to that scene they could have shown.
Yeah, it's possible. But yeah, I thought it was a pretty great way to end it. Overall, a really good episode. It was a really great season. I honestly kind of felt like I enjoyed it a little bit more than season 1, actually. And maybe about as much, if not slightly more than Mugen Train, too.
Yeah,
so I thought it was great.
I mean,
it's a
little bit unfortunate that that we're only getting 11 episodes just for this one particular season. I'm not counting the
I do wish it was a full season. Where we got both this arc and the other one they just announced, which was the village or the Wandering Samurai.
I think they're calling it the Swordsmith.
Okay, Swordsmith Village arc.
And of course we're getting advertised like I think 2 different Hashiras. I forgot what their names were.
I don't know the other one. I know one is the Love Hashira.
Yeah, but they unfortunately we don't have a release date for the new season. My guess, we probably won't see another season maybe until fall of 2023. That's my prediction.
I think
I'd be a little bit surprised.
Not until the end of next year.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be a little bit surprised if they, they end up, starting the new season probably by the end of this year. But I don't think so. Just due to the fact that Ufotable also has like maybe several other projects working at the same time, particularly like Witch in the Holy Night, which they just announced a few months ago.
Yeah, I think that's probably safe to assume that.
But yeah, overall, I thought this was like a really good season, despite the fact that this was only 11 episodes for just this one season. Compared to like season 1's 26 episodes, I thought this was like an enjoyable season so far. With just, I was blown away like how consistent the animation quality was, just like on the second half of the season in particular. They just keep outdoing themselves, like in almost every single episode. They just kept airing like in that second half.
Yeah, it had some of the most impressive animation I think I've seen from Ufotable. So I mean which is really saying a lot considering like the everything else they've done.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but overall, like, how would you rate this season?
I'd probably give it a 9. Either 8 or a 9. I'm leaning more towards a 9.
I want to give this a 9.5 because I really feel like Ufotable's really outdone themselves big time in this particular season. Like this goes beyond anything they've really done with all their other projects that they've done in the past, particularly like the amount of quality they've put in, like in the Fate Stay Night series that they've done prior to this. But I think this is like the best that they've ever put out, like in all the years they've they've worked on.
Yeah, I would agree. It's like I said, it's definitely some of their best work.
Yeah, it's just the only negative I have. Like I said, it's just it was a very very brief season, and just unfortunately the fact that they ended up reusing a lot of the footage from Mugen Train just to start off the season, if you can really call it the start of the season. It's just, I don't know. I just don't really feel like that was even really necessary, and I really felt like they could have used a lot of the resources just to maybe move on to the next season already. But whatever the reasons were, it's not really known up to this point. And and also the fact that yeah, like I said, a lot of that time could have been worked on with future storylines. That now that we know that the manga is already finished in Japan, and of course the last volume is already released in the United States, so everyone knows who's ever read the manga knows how the story is going to end. But yeah, I honestly really felt like we could have gotten a little bit more from this. But overall, I just absolutely enjoyed how they put out like such quality episodes in that second half.
Yeah, I think that's really where it was really the best in the second half of the of this particular arc. So I guess that all being said, until next time, we will see you all later.